Hello, welcome back to Seen by Few. I'm Nick. This is Lance.
Otherwise known as the Bard.
Are you done?
I suppose so.
Don't make me get the Staff of Resurrection. All right. So this week is a holiday special, and what holiday could be happening around this time in August? Well, it's my birthday, and around here on Seen by Few, my birthday is a holiday special because it's a reason for me to talk about a movie that we've both seen, but I just want to talk about.
Yeah, and not only that, because he made that rule,
I did make that rule.
I guess that means that my birthday is also a holiday. So
Yes, it is.
we'll see what comes up.
Yeah. So that means during our birthdays, we just get to pick a movie. We make the person watch it, and then we just get to talk about it because we want to talk about a movie. And a lot of times they don't fit into our format. This one's not really co-video because it's not on a streaming service really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's on YouTube, I suppose. It's not a scene. Have you seen? Because we both seen it.
Oh yeah.
It's not old school or new school or anything. I mean, that's not going to work. So holiday special.
Although when we did watch this movie, admittedly when we were watching it, it's like I remembered very little about this movie because I think this is probably another one of those ones we played at the house while I was still playing like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, probably.
So
I have a feeling the first time I saw it was probably at your place, which means you were eyes glued to computer.
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
And then for me, I'm like, oh man, this movie. And then you're like, boo, whatever.
Hey, man, you can't score digital loots unless you're like
Yeah,
tuned in.
you're in it to win it.
That's right.
All right, so this one is Gamers Dorkness Rising, which is a sequel, air quotes, in that there is a movie called The Gamers, and that one's mostly D&D jokes, wrapped in a very loose framework of a story.
Very thin veneer.
And it's just kind of an excuse for people to have gotten together, make gamer humor and all that sort of stuff. This one is a story and gamer jokes.
Oh yeah.
On a budget.
Very much so.
And the budget is what you got in your wallet. It's like, let's make a movie. How much you got? I got $50. I got $50, $100 movie.
We don't have to pay actors. Let's do special effects. I think 100 will cover it. Although when they did the Bard clipping scene, like at least 25 went into that.
No, they've got like Clip Studio or whatever. I mean, this was like early YouTube. This is, or I guess early in being able to make your own home movies, as it were, like 2008. So I mean, the technology was there for people to start making their own independent movies. It just wasn't as big as it is now, where like if you've got an iPhone, you can film a friggin' movie.
Okay. Well, I did not know that, but yeah, it's somebody put a little bit of love and care into it.
Yeah.
So
They've got costumes, they've got like locations, they've got some digital work, not a whole lot. But I mean, that little tavern that they're in, I mean, someone made a place look like a tavern.
well, they found a place with a stained glass window. Like, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's good.
When they found that church, they were just like, we want to film here. And they were like, oh, of course, what are you filming? Oh, we're going to film Noah's Ark 2. And it's like, oh, you've got the Pontiff outfit. Okay.
Two Noah's, two Ark.
Yeah. Too fast for unicorns.
All right, so we'll stick to tradition, I suppose, where we'll guess what each other thought of the movie, and then give you a chance to go watch the movie. Which I mean, you can find it all off. I think it's Zombie Orpheus or Dead Gentleman. They've got this movie up on YouTube, usually like chunked up, and they released it in parts, and you can watch all the parts together. Let's go support the people who actually put it out. It's free.
Or you can pay the $7 and watch it uninterrupted, like we did. Nick paid the $7.
I pay for YouTube so I can watch things without commercials.
It's honestly, I'm thinking about it. Like when we put Jack to sleep at night, we give him a Spinal bottle, and about 8:20 we turn on just rock videos because he was raised listening to the music we listen to. So at 8:20 we turn it on, and it's like keep on rocking in the free world. And then after the song goes off, it's just like, do you have butt polyps? And it's like, fuck. So I have to turn the thing back on, turn the screen back on, and like get through the commercial, and then put on the next song. So like Jack's just like,
butt polyps. I do have butt polyps.
My dad keeps calling me a butt polyp. I'm kidding, Jack. I love you. I never called you a butt polyp. Anyways,
you just did.
He's not watching.
Liar. All right, so Lance,
yes,
if you were to rate Gamers Dorkness Rising on a scale from 0 to 10, what would you give it?
I would give it a 6.
Yeah, close.
Okay. Well, not bad. Not bad. I mean, it's...
I think it's funny.
Oh, no, it's definitely funny.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into more of that later. So, Nick,
Mm-hmm.
if you were to rate Dorkness Rising,
Mm-hmm.
what would you give it?
It's almost a 10. It's a 9.
Damn it.
Well, sure.
So, I got extra information from you at the beginning of this, and you're like, oh, I watch this at least once a year. And I was like, oh, he really likes this movie.
Yeah.
But, like...
It's at the very beginning. It's hard for me not to start quoting it back to you.
I mean, I'm still 1 under, right?
Yeah.
You said a 9. It's like, I'm always 1 under.
You're almost 2 under. Because this one's, like, I don't think it's quite a 10. Because, I mean, there's issues and slow bits in the movie. But for the most part, this is a D&D movie. And I enjoy the shit out of it. Because I'm super into D&D. Like a nerd would be.
Yeah, but I mean, I gave it a 6. Does it mean I'm not super into D&D?
It means you need to watch it again.
Okay, well, next birthday.
Yeah.
So
I'll just make you watch another one of them. Go back and watch Gamers.
What you were showing me right before we started recording this, like, I'm really interested in watching that.
Yeah, so these people have done Gamers, Gamers, Dorkness Rising. They did Gamers 3, I think they called it, Hands of Fate, which is a bit more a play on like Magic the Gathering and kind of like living card games and that sort of thing. And that one has all of the people in it again, although it focuses more on Cass's character. Kind of like he sees a girl he likes that's playing essentially this Magic style game where it's a living card game where they go to the tournaments, and like if this character dies in the tournament, in like one of the main, like this person wins the story, so all the opponents they go against, their stories matter. So like if this character died in that main storyline, they're dead in that universe now, and now that card's banned or whatever because that character died.
Okay.
And you essentially have this woman who's going through and trying to like win it fairly, and you've got this one like evil guy or whatever who's trying to do it through like the evil side that like kills people and sacks lands and like all this evil shit, and they're trying to save their game because these people are going to try to go through kill very important NPCs and just kind of have that be bad for it. So Cass learns to like love the game through that his whole thing.
That sounds terrible.
It's not great, but it's okay. Well, it's more because like this one you cut to the characters, and it's the people playing the characters they're playing. And this one it just kind of cuts to the story of the cards, but they're not being played by the people in the main thing. So it's kind of like it feels like disconnected. Where I think it's like what's going on with the actual people is interesting. The story that you get cut away to is less interesting to me. But so they did that. It's okay. I showed you an episode of Journey Quest, which I'm not sure how much of it they put out. I know they put out at least 3 seasons. And that one's kind of interesting.
Is that the one with one of us lies and one of us tells the truth?
Yeah.
See, that's the one that I really want to watch, but if they haven't put out a bunch
I don't know if it's all out or if it was like I know they've tried to do Kickstarter and stuff like that. I don't know if those things ever fully got off the ground or not. And they did Dark Dungeons, which was a chick track that they got funding to do.
So that's the one that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
But like in an ironic way.
Yeah, because Jack Trek is put out these super biblical like little comics that would kind of like, ooh, Jesus is the way and all this kind of stuff, and this person's did a thing and oh that's sinful, and one of the ones they did was called Dark Dungeons, where these girls get super into D&D, and it was used as a gateway to join the witch covens and learn actual magic. And one of the characters, her character in the game dies, so she goes home and kills herself, and like, oh no, this thing's so bad, and like turn away from the dark evil of RPGing and follow the light.
It reminds me of that movie. I forget what it's called.
Mazes and Monsters.
Yeah, it's like I don't know it's real anymore or whatever. Like
what am I doing?
Yeah, the surprisingly had Tom Hanks. I think it might have been like his first movie or something.
It was pretty early on, but so they made Dark Dungeons, a movie adaptation, air quotes, of this chick track, and they sent it to the because they licensed it from the actual people, so they sent it to them, and they're like, yeah, that's what happens when you play RPGs, you go crazy. But they filled it full of
jokes,
full of jokes and gamer references, so that if you're a gamer and you watch it, you're like, this is stupid.
So the thing is that you had me watch that, without like really warming me up to what was going on with it. And it's like, yeah, the way the kid, oh Karen, it's just a game. How bad can it be?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah,
like the way they're talking was just like completely like
they're hamming it out.
After school special. But like I didn't catch some of the stuff. It was like when the guy fired the arrow at the gazebo, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
But like when he was like, she said, "I fire a magic missile into the darkness." I was like, they just make a fucking reference to that Dr. Demento skit. Like, but I didn't say anything because I was waiting to see if the next thing she was going to say is like an elf appeared. Whoa, you know.
Is that me? Yeah, describe your character.
But yeah, like watching it, I was just fascinated by like they were playing it straight, but it's like got all this tongue-in-cheek shit. Like,
oh yeah, well they show up to the place to play RPGs, and it's a fucking raver with dubstep and everyone around drinking.
It looked awesome.
Like, yeah, the fucking lights going off, and people are like, "All right, it's time to RPG," and then they'll sit down and like are playing the game. You got like an audience around like the table with that little Miss Frost or whatever as the DM running it, and she's killing people off, throwing their minis in the fire when they die.
And she looked like really elegant. So the very first thing he showed me of this particular thing was like they're at college and like the student letterman jacket's like, oh hey, you know, it's good to see you. Like I think you'll really enjoy college. And then like the gamers walk down the hallway and they look all elegant, like they stepped right out of a Benetton ad.
Well, they're walking slow motion with like the music playing,
and they're all gothed up and everything. She's like, "Who are those?" And he's like, "That's the RPGers. They're bad people." You know, like, and
they're the popular kids.
And that was the thing that was just like, what am I watching? You know, like that completely threw me. And then when they had the party and it's all like fucking rave and dubstep and shit, and like it just looked like an amazing party. And I was like, yeah, it looks like the beginning of every one of our games. But like the thing,
and we don't walk in and be like, all right, I bought the spaghetti.
Is it okay if I eat my Thai food real quick? You know what? Just go ahead. I'll eat while we play. I swing his sword at his skeleton. But like the thing that occurred to me is like back in the day we used to play at the Dragon. And it's funny because even though it's all nerd shit at the Dragon, I always had this thing in my head that when we walked into the room and we took our little table, it's like we passed the people playing Magic. And every single time I'm looking at the people playing Magic and I'm like, fucking nerds. You know? And like, I felt like I was superior because I was an RPGer. But then it occurred to me one day when we were sitting at the table, I remember looking at Nick and Amber and going, you ever think that when we're walking by them to play D&D, they're like, yeah, what a bunch of fucking geeks.
Yeah, what a bunch of nerds. Yeah, of course.
It's like we're looking down on each other from fucking like unpopular nerd mountain.
I mean, so, I think it's gotten better as time has gone on, but like nerds are cliquish. Like you'd have the people that play Pokemon don't want to associate with people that play Magic, who don't want to associate with the people who play Yu-Gi-Oh, who then don't want to associate with the like the tabletop gamers, who also don't want to associate with the LARPers, and it's all this weird stuff. And you get some crossover, and I think it's getting better over time. Well, people kind of realize that like, no, it's all we're all dorks. Just get over it.
Yeah, we all enjoy our little fucking nerd games.
And like Magic would be cool. I don't got the money for Magic. I got the money for a $150 book every quarter, and be like, done. Enough of that.
So back in the day, I used to work 2 jobs. I used to hang out with my friends. We'd smoke a lot of pot and play fucking Magic. And this is back in my 20s. And I don't know when exactly it was because, as I said, I smoked a lot of pot. I don't remember. But I remember that the Slivers, the set that had Slivers, just came out. And, like, I was doing my best to build a deck. I had, like, 3 decks. And one of the people I played with was the person who sold me my weed. I remember one day we were like, oh, the Sliver set just came out. Let's go up to the Dragon and buy some cards. So we all jump in the car. We go up to the Green Dragon. And I remember walking up the cash register and be like, how much are they a pack? Give me 10 packs. And they sold me 10 packs. And then my buddy, who always sells me weed, he was like, I'll take 3 boxes. Like, he bought 3 booster boxes. Yeah. And, like, I'm sitting there opening my 10-pack, like, oh, I got a silver sliver. Let's check that out. It's got, like, a 2 attack, and it's got, like, and then, like, my buddy is just going through the cards and, like, oh, look at that shit. Oh, look at that shit. Oh, look at that shit. And then, like, we built decks. And for the next 3 weeks, I got the shit kicked out of me. Every single time, because they had so many more options for cards. I remember one of the best cards I pulled was, like, a Lord of the Pit. And I built like this Lord of the Pit deck, and for a while it ruled. It was great. But then the problem is that if you don't have money to keep switching up decks, Like they eventually build stuff that like completely utterly destroys you. So after like a few weeks of that, I remember walking up to my buddy and being like, "Look, I'll give you all my magic cards for an ounce of weed."
Wow.
And they were like, "Okay." So
Yeah.
I gave them all my magic cards and had an ounce of weed, and then like I'd sit around and like watch movies and smoke weed while they like played Magic, and it's just you can't compete.
No, it's kind of, you have your one hobby, and that's where your money goes, because you're not playing Magic and like Warhammer and like TTRPGs unless you are like, it's like, oh, I'm gonna just take out my wad of money and peel off this much for that.
Right.
So unless you're loaded, you're not really able to afford all these different hobbies and stuff like that. Despite the fact that I think there would be a lot of crossover.
Oh God, yeah. Like Magic, it's funny. Like since I think Wizards of the Coast has been basically making Magic cards straight off of like D&D modules and stuff like that.
Then they've put out like two. One's going to be Baldur's Gate, and I think they've done like Legend Icons of the Forgotten Realms or something like that.
Forgotten Realms.
And they've done another one before too. So they've had at least two expansions for D&D.
And they were neat. Like I actually bought quite a bit of those cards. But yeah, no, it's just I find it funny, and I'm not bragging, but it's like I've been playing D&D since I was 12. I'm about to turn 48. So it's like the stuff that I used to have footballs thrown at my head, and like, you know, kids just in the schoolyard, we were basically pariahs.
Oh yeah.
We had our little bench. We'd go. We'd talk about role playing, and there was like a bunch of different games we were playing. It was me, Ralph, Carrie. There's a small group of us, and like I used to get picked on horribly
Oh yeah.
for having that hobby, but it was something I enjoyed. And now I want to throw footballs at the mundanes who are like wanting to try on D&D. I stuck something out there at my work where I was like, "Hey, who wants to play D&D?" And I had like a bunch of people who'd never played. They were like, "Oh, I'd be interested in playing that." I'd be like, "No, no, you don't get to play." But I'm not going to gatekeep. If people want to play it, that's fine. Like I think it's an enjoyable hobby. Plus, it doesn't cost a lot of money.
Yeah, you can get by on like your friend owning books and then showing up and looking through their books and making your decisions.
Totally.
It's getting a bit more microtransaction-y nowadays with D&D Beyond and stuff like that, where your friend owns the subscription, but like you could buy a spell for $1, and now you could access that on your D&D Beyond. Well, why buy the whole book when you could just buy, all I want is Wither and Bloom from the Strixhaven book. I don't want to buy the $50 book. I just want to pay $3 or $2 and get the spell. And now I can have it on my sheet without having to homebrew it, because that's annoying.
You can literally pull up a web page that has that spell and like all the rules.
Well, in order to pull up the web page, you got to pay for it, or buy the book. Which, if I'm going to buy something, I want the book, because from 4th edition we learned that stuff is ephemeral. Don't put money into digital products that are going to go away during the next edition.
Yeah, it's really kind of a shame what's happening right now, but I'm getting Forgotten Realms out of it. Like I've been chomping at the bit to play Kinder, and like,
oh, you mean Dragonlance? Not Forgotten Realms.
Dragonlance. Sorry. Well, I'm finally getting Dragonlance so I can play Kinder. Sorry, it's been so long since I actually played in a Dragonlance setting. It's forgotten, but I think it was 2.5.
They had Dragonlance in 3 as well, I think. I think.
It's
At least I remember people bringing like Kinders to my game and me being like, "Oh, never mind, no Kinders ever again." So I'm not gonna be running a Dragonlance book or game for you, because no Kinders ever.
Kinders are basically what Hobbits are now with the luck and the reroll shit.
Too bad.
I'm just saying, it's the same thing.
I've had people play games with me with Kinders, and they went like chaotic, like, "Hey."
I'm not gonna do that.
I know, but it doesn't matter. It's been spoiled.
That's fucked up.
And that, yeah, it's a bad mark.
Fine, no more vampires or Nagas in my game.
I've not played a vampire or not in your game.
But you will eventually. You're going to want to. And no more cross gaming.
Do you want me at your table?
Then let me play a Kinder.
Well, at first I'd have to run. I'm not going to run a Dragonlance game.
Oh well.
I know. Screw all about Dragonlance. I've never read the books, never played any of the settings. I'm not your Dragonlance guy. I'm your Eberron guy.
I think Shane was already courting the idea of doing it. Anyways, we're getting off topic. So
20 minutes in, we've said zero about this particular movie and just gaming in general.
But watching it is kind of like whipped up our fervor, like of role playing and stuff like that. So we can talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So getting into the movie itself, I suppose, in some ways, like this is like the D&D movie to me, and not like the old Jeremy Irons one.
Like Blue Lips.
No.
Huh?
Although the sequel to that movie's better. The Wrath of the Dragon God is better than the other one because it's
What was it, Frost Dragon?
Yeah. It looked bad. It was a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah, special effects were horrible.
But it was a good movie. And so they're putting out a D&D movie in like a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard people kind of say like, man, they should cut to the party or like the real people, and it's all a game. I'm like, I don't want that. And the reason I don't want that is because of this movie, because I've already got it. And they're like, oh well, you could kind of cut like they're telling a story like Princess Bride. I don't want that. I've got the Princess Bride. I just want this to be. I want the D&D movie just to be a movie that takes place in the D&D universe. If you guys are interested in like it cutting to a party, watch this movie.
Okay, how about this? How about that you watch the movie, they get to what's obviously not the big boss, but he's like the mini boss, and they down him, and they go through his stuff, and then the movie just abruptly ends, because that's the end of the session, and then the next movie picks up exactly where that movie left off.
No. Finish your movie.
Okay, how about it starts exactly where that movie left off, but you could tell the actors are like a year or two older because, you know, this day didn't work out for this one person, so they pushed it back a day, or this day didn't work out for this guy, or I had to work this day.
Now, I want it to be a movie that takes place in the universe, because when I think about them cutting to it, like, of course it would work, because I've got this movie, and in this movie I think it works. But it's funny, it's comedy, and I want like a movie that's maybe got like some quips or whatever to it, but I want it to be like a movie.
I think you're going to get Fast and Furious D&D edition.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Well, I mean, it had like some neat stuff, but like the dragons looked bad. Except for the one dragon that was like pushing the platform. Like,
oh, you mean, I can't remember his name.
I don't want to say too much about it because there's some people who might have seen the trailer, but there was like the one scene where it's like it looked like they were on a bridge.
Yeah.
And it was doing the...
Yeah. It's the dragon that runs Gracklestug. He's big and beefy.
Yeah, he looked like a Jabba dragon.
He's a big beefy boy.
Yeah.
All the Draugr feed him.
Okay.
We met him in Out of the Abyss. Yeah, I don't
remember that.
Yeah. He's
James Ryan?
Yeah, he's a super fat dragon, and he gets fed all the food. And
I do remember that.
And he's living like a king. That's who that is. That's
okay.
him. That means they're in Gracklestug.
Interesting. All right.
So I just want a movie about that. So what you have with gamers, Dorkness Rising.
It's crazy. I forget everything. I do remember that.
Biscuits.
Okay, I remember that now. Sorry.
So, a gamer's Dorkness Rising, you kind of have the story of, some would call them grognards, some would call them munchkins, some would call them murder hobos.
Murder hobos, definitely.
I guess depends on which era you're used to. Kind of playing it in a game of a GM who wants a story game, and these are people who want to murder everything. So you kind of have these two people clashing in kind of with their styles of play. One's you kind of got the amped up version of a rules lawyer, which unfortunately is people like that exist. Who's kind of like, it's in the rules, I want to play this, and it's in this book, I don't care, and they're kind of taking the rules and not being fun with it.
See, I saw it less of a rules lawyer because, I mean, yes, he was rules lawyery, but if you're a true rules lawyer, he wouldn't have been like whipping around like a lightsaber. I see it as a person who finds the one rule and finds a way to bend it and does the whole, well, it's written down, I can do it.
Well, I mean, rules lawyer is typically used bad, but there's ways to. You could be a good rules lawyer, like, hey, how does regeneration work? And they'll tell you how regeneration works.
Well, it's
versus the kind of person who has read the book and knows all the rules that they can use to get what they want.
And that's what that guy was.
Yeah.
But see, I didn't see it as him knowing all the rules. I saw it as him exploiting the rules that he just didn't want to play by.
Yeah.
You're a good rules lawyer, only for okay, sometimes you suck, but the only reason I say that is because certain things will happen, and you're like, Lance, you have an extra turn on this because you're this, or did you remember to use this racial ability? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. But then, to your downside, discredit, I should say, you'll also do stuff where like the guy attacks me and you're like, Shane, did you actually like give him like the points he regenerated because he's got a healing factor? And Shane's like, oh yeah, no, that's right. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You're like, hey, play it from both sides. I was like, you don't have to do that.
I do have to do that.
I mean, we're getting our ass kicked over here, and you're trying to heal the fucking thing.
I want to win right.
Yeah, I get it. It's just, like when I don't remember what game it was, but one time something was happening where we were getting the shit kicked out of us, and you were like, "Well, I mean, if this guy would have been out from underneath his effect, and he did get hit, so he has to roll that concentration." So, okay, my spell ended, so the bless is no longer on any of y'all, and he's like, "Oh yeah." Yeah. I was like, "Fuck, man, we really need that," and you're just like, "Well, you got to play it good for."
Yep.
I want to choke you sometimes, but anyways, sorry. But yeah, I saw him less rules lawyery and more of a person who uses the rules to break the game.
That is how a lot of people use the term rules lawyer. Is that like, they see the bad side of like this person knows the rules and uses them for their own benefit.
Okay. All right. Well,
but
anyways,
potatoes.
Then you have the super murder hobo who just wants to play the game so he can just basically kill all the characters for experience.
Yeah.
And that guy was apparently he was playing cross.
Yeah, so that campaign they all died, and they're like, nah, we need someone else. So they kind of end up bringing in the new person, who is kind of the rules lawyer's ex-girlfriend. Is going to come in and join in the game, and she's never role played before.
But she read the book and knows the rules.
Yeah, but she's read the rules. She's got reading comprehension, and more the fact that like she's heard her boyfriend, or whatever, her ex, talk about it, and it's like I want to get into this. So she gets in expecting like role playing, like acting essentially. Because I kind of got the sense from when they kind of show what they're doing during the week. It looked like she was cleaning up a stage. So I wonder if maybe she's a stagehand or something like that, and kind of sees acting. It's like I want to try acting. That seems fun. And role playing is kind of like improvisational acting.
Yeah.
And then goofing off with your friends.
Well, yeah, it's mainly just getting around the table and like being with each other, and then like someone's basically telling you a story and your characters are reacting within the storyline to build a narrative. I tried explaining this. I've got a friend of mine named I don't want to out her.
Don't.
But she's like, I don't understand it. And like I've explained it multiple ways. And like I was like, it's like a book that you're basically, it's a story that you're taking part in. And she's like, I don't get it. And I was
it's like, cooperative storytelling?
I'm pretty sure it eventually, and that's exactly how I explained it. It's a cooperative storyline. And she was like, I just don't get it. And I feel at this point, after trying to explain it to her for about 4 years,
she's just fucking with it.
I think she's fucking with me. Like, I'm pretty sure she's just fucking with me.
She's like, I got it on one. I just want to fuck with you.
Yeah. And she makes it sound like, she's just like, oh, it just does not sound like fun. And I was like, well, do you like reading books? And she's like, yeah, I love reading books. It was like, well, it's like having
direct control of one of the characters in the book.
Yeah.
It's like, why did this character go left when you wanted them to go right? Imagine if you could have just made him go right. Or that person got shot in the head like with an arrow from like a trap, and you're like, dude, that hole was obviously trapped. Why didn't you look around first? Well, then now you're playing a choose your own adventure in sort of a way.
Yeah, you could stop and like check the hall for traps. But yeah, it's in. So I don't want to get too murky on that. So, anyways,
so she joins.
Yeah, she joins, and she's the kind of person who uses the rules to build a character that's not standard. So she doesn't power game. She doesn't. Was it called?
Min-max?
Min-max the character, where it's like, okay, you have a fighter, and like these stats are important. So she rolls what she wants to play instead of what people gear their character up for the best success.
Playing a fighter with a high intelligence and high charisma, so that she's like learned and then charismatic enough to talk her way out of fights.
But she never does that.
No, well, she tries, but everyone, you've got Gary around throwing fireballs at people. So it's kind of like, I want to play this character that like talks with everyone, and then every time you meet someone, they're like, yeah, eat that, motherfucker. And it's like, okay, well, I guess I can't really do that. So she kind of, I mean, I think in the crux of the story is you've got 3 munchkins, and then the game, like the GM who just wants a story, just trying to like rein in the munchkins and be like, no, play the way I want. And she kind of shows the munchkins that story is important, and then she also teaches the GM that, like, hey, let these guys have their fun too sometimes, and that it doesn't have to go by the book. You don't have to, this story doesn't have to go the exact way you want it to go.
Yeah, but still, like, if I would have been playing in this game and he would have gicked my character 80 times, I probably would have walked away from the table, because, I mean, one-shotting a character, it happens. But so many times in one campaign, like it's just
It's a comedy movie
ridiculous.
at that point.
Oh, I know it is, and like the bard is hilarious. I love the dude that plays him.
Mm-hmm.
But like, sorry, I was getting spotched.
Spotched.
Yeah, spotched. That's my word. Use it a lot. Anyways,
Or never.
or just use it. Let's make this a thing. I want to have a shirt that just says spotch. Yeah, be cool.
Let's continue with your thought.
Anyways, yeah, I don't know if I could play in a campaign like that. Like,
No, I mean, it's hyped up to be ridiculous.
well, yeah, but like I understand running a campaign on Rails, but that's what modules are for.
Well, he was trying to write a module, and he's like, I've got this idea. I want this module to be done, but I want to kind of see. I don't have it all lined up in my head. I've got like the beginning, I've got the end, I'm fuzzy on the middle. So he's trying to run them through the module he's writing so that he can cement the story for him, which is why he's very much like, no, stop doing all this weird shit and get like back on the rails.
Yeah, but even then, it's like you figured he would have been able to write some stuff. He got them to a point where they had a party wipe, and then he ran the same game.
Well, it's because they were like, no, we're playing the same game. Everyone was like, yeah, we're done. Like, we lost. Okay, let's play something else. And the rules lawyer, whatever's like, no, there's not a game on these shelves that can beat me. So I'm going to play this unpublished module, and I'm going to beat it. Because he doesn't play games to have fun. He plays games to beat games.
And even then, he fucking bitched out. Anyways, we'll get there.
But, I mean, the crux of the story is teach Munchkins not to enjoy the story. Teach Railroady GM that, like, hey, it's fine. Let people go off the rails sometimes. It's fun that way. And just kind of enjoy each other's company sort of thing.
I mean, I guess that's where I'm just a gaming snob. Because, I mean, I've been gaming with this guy for 10 plus years at this point. And we have a really pretty good group. We've had some people fall out. We've had some people come in. But for the most part, we play it not super straight, but at the same time not super jokey. So, you know, role-playing amazingness, role-playing deliciousness can come out of basically just your characters riffing and like get off of each other and stuff like that.
I mean, I like, I don't know, I don't want to say serious-ish characters, because I've played some characters that are funny, but not because they're like Waka Waka, pie and face jokester characters.
It's like they don't get something.
Yeah.
You make them slightly awkward one way or another.
Yeah, so I'm playing Curse of Strahd. My character's a reborn, which means she died and came like back to life. And so her old memory is essentially gone, and she just doesn't get like human society or whatever. So they're kind of walking around, and this woman is stuffing a child in a bag. And people are like, what's up with this woman stuffing this kid in the bag? So we go and investigate. And apparently the family couldn't afford their debt for these pastries, so they gave up their youngest kid.
For pastries?
Apparently, well, in Ravenloft, these pastries make you feel good, so they're drugs. And the families were selling their children to pay for their drugs.
Interesting.
So everyone's just like shoving, their kids getting shoved in the sack, and people are like, you can't do that. And my character's like, you can have people? I didn't know you could own people. I'm like, how much for the kid? She's like, 14 gold. I'm like, I got 14 gold.
How do you make pastries so I can do this more on the reg?
It's like, I didn't know you could just own people. And like, I was expecting, like, that's funny for everyone to be like, no, you can't own people. See, and everyone, about like, the rest of the group is like, okay, take care of your kid. Like, why are you letting me buy a kid? Like, teach my character that, like, you know, you can't do that because she doesn't know.
Yeah, that can create comedy gold.
Yeah, so I was just kind of playing it up for comedy to be like, oh, my character doesn't understand. Like, she died and came back to life. So therefore, death is not that important. I mean, you die, you just come right back. I mean, I've done it twice, whatever.
Right.
So, like, the life, she doesn't necessarily value human life because she doesn't understand, like, mortality necessarily.
Okay.
So she was buying a person because, like, yeah, I'll take care of this kid. He'll carry my stuff. I'll feed him. It's like, no, you can't own people.
Just eat pastries.
It's like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. So, I mean, it's just a character that doesn't understand stuff, and rather than being, like, the Fonzarelli or whatever, and being like, hey, and, like, casting mending with my elbow, or, you know. And I'm like, that's too referential and jokey, for me at least. Some people enjoy that kind of humor. I'd rather just be silly. And
I'm past the whole kill everything and keep moving kind of like. It's funny that I say that because, like, when we played the fourth ed game, we were so loot starved in the beginning of that game, even at the end of that game, but we got so powerful. But, like, in the beginning, we were so loot starved. I remember that we played for a while, and our GM was fantastic, ran a great game, even if he missed running the game by 3 points. But, but yeah, we were so loot starved that, like, we got to a certain point where, like, we had to start working off of each other. Like, we had
to become a well-oiled machine because we were going down.
Yeah, we were getting our asses handed to us, and then I remember one of his buddies was going to show up for one game, and he's like, "You guys mind if he just steps in for one game?" We're like, "Sure."
Yeah.
And it was like, "Are you rolling him a character?" He's like, "Oh, he's just going to generate one off of like the D&D."
Yeah, it was the 4E had a pre D&D Beyond. They already had a character maker for 4th edition.
Yeah.
And it kind of even tells you like you have this much money to buy loot.
Yeah.
So he just went there and made his character, picked all of his stuff, and got the amount of loot that he should have had at that level.
Right.
Which was equal to all of our loot combined.
Yes.
Because he was running off 3-5 loot rules where it's like, you should probably have about 3,000 gold. Oh, 300,000 gold. I'm sorry, guys.
I just remember, like, his character sat down and he was like, "So I'm a blah and I'm a blah." And I'm like, "Cool." And he's like, "I've got this and I've got this." And he just starts reading off his magic items and we're like, "You got fucking what?"
Yeah, I'm just kind of drooling.
Yeah. And he's like, "I've got this staff plus 3." And I was like, I've had this wand plus 1 since like first level. Like, and I remembered we started making it started off as jokes. We were like, "So you're a one shot, right? Does that mean like we can kill his character at the end, and, like take his loot?"
Yeah, once he goes back home, we're just gonna kill him, take his stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and Shane's like, "Haha, that's very funny." And then like by the end of the game, she's like, "Seriously, guys, don't kill his character." We're just like, "But Shane, come on!" He's
we want his loot.
He might come back and play another game. Yo, that means better stuff.
Yeah, he'll have new loot, and then when he leaves that time, we'll kill him again.
But yeah, it was just. I remember Shane was just like, "God, seriously, guys, don't kill his character." And then like we did a couple more sessions. He's like, "Okay, maybe I need to throw some more stuff at y'all because."
That's our first 4E game where we're coming from 3.5, and money in 4th edition gets millions, kind of level ridiculous. And when they came back to 5E, they kind of like brought it all the way back down to the point where like, "Can I buy a magic item, please? No prices. Too bad." And people were like, "We don't like that." And we're like, "Fine, we'll print it in a book."
That's when they did what the price of the DMG.
Xanathars. Like the base books, you could not buy a magic item, except for I guess technically a potion of healing, because it's in italics, so therefore it's magical.
Okay.
And it costs 50 gold.
Yeah, it's with 5th Ed has been the one thing that's a constant. I would like to go back and like run a 3.5 game again.
3.5 I'm less excited about. 4th edition I would like to play again, just because I remember how loot starved we were and how much of a well-oiled machine our group worked with. And I like that we were engaged through everyone's turn because we had so many things
that were lining up
that we could do on other people's turns.
If you're doing this, I'm doing this.
Yeah, well, I need to pay attention because I was the paladin and I marked this guy. So if this guy attacks not me, I get to do something cool. And well, so I'm paying attention. And then like on his turn, he attacks you. So I'm like, "Oh, cool. Well, he did a thing that he wasn't supposed to do. So therefore, I get to do a bunch of damage to him." And then like he hits someone and does a bunch of damage, and you can be like, "Ah, I'm the healer. He just did a bunch of. He triggered my trap card."
Yeah, and that, I think that was the best thing. I really liked 4th Ed.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if it's my D&D of choice, but it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But like I remember in the beginning of the game, we're like, "Oh, we need magic. We're getting our asses kicked." And by the end of the game, it's like we took on 2 avatars of gods and we whipped their ass.
Yeah.
And by that time, we also had powers. Like, I remember Joe had one where it's like if his character died, he just, like, came walking back from the sunset.
And the next day, he's alive again.
Yeah, and then, like, my character as the healer, I had, like, 4 different resurrects.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like somebody would fall in combat, and I'm like, "You're back up."
Yeah, back up, half your hit points back.
Yeah, and, like, so, and I remember at the end of that game, Shane was just like, "So, like, you just literally fought, like, 2 avatars of these gods at the same time, and y'all basically cut their ass in like 8 rounds or something like that." It was something stupid.
Yeah.
Which makes me laugh because I also remember the Beholder fight that we had at one time, and we were there for like 3 hours.
And got him to half hit points.
And I remember after the 3-hour mark, I was like, "Shane, how close is he?" And he's like, "He's not even bloodied." And I was like, "Fuck." And then that's finally when my character's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, let's talk." And then we ended up negotiating something because I didn't want to be there fighting the guy all that. We're at 40-minute mark. We barely talked about this fucking movie. God damn. All right. Sorry. Let's get back on point. Sorry. I'm sorry. So
Don't worry. This is a bonus episode.
Yes.
Hence, it's Actually, no, we're putting this out on a Monday. Sorry, this is not a bonus episode. This is your Monday video of us talking about D&D.
Yeah, this is like the birthday episode, so this isn't in the normal format.
This is what I want to do for my birthday. Talk about D&D.
Yeah. So.
And this is a framework. It's a free movie. You can go watch it on YouTube, and I like it. And if you like D&D, some of it, I mean, it's inflated. Some of the people are kind of like, this guy. You're probably not going to run into people this bad when you're trying to RPG. Mm-hmm. Maybe back in the day you might have. Nowadays, I think people are. You're getting more people into the game. I don't think you're going to get as elitist assholes into the game as you would used to back in the when we started out.
If I had stats like a D&D character, my dex would be an 18.
Yeah, no one's going to get that reference but me.
And Amber. Maybe 10.
Yeah, 10 was there.
Anyways. Yeah, so if you ever, like, when you watch this movie, keep in mind, if you don't play D&D, this is not a normal D&D game. Mike thought the entire movie, ever since when it started, was like, is this game being played by 12-year-olds?
Yeah, because I mean, like, they start off the game, and he's like, oh, I'm going to have sex with this guy because he's cross-gaming. It's like, you have not met yet, we've not started playing. Yeah, so once the game finally starts, like, want to hit it now? So, like, while the king's talking, they run to the back and bang one out real quick.
And the GM is just like, he ignores it.
And just moves on.
Yeah, talk to the one character who's still standing there. So, you're going to accept the king's mission? And they come running up and, like, high-five again after the characters score. But, yeah, the game is literally, it's got to be a GM's nightmare of somebody that, like, wants to play a game straight, and you have everybody else who's just like, I want to fucking throw pancakes at the fucking city guard. Like, that's the only thing I keep thinking the entire time is, like, they're killing everybody. The dude was dumb enough to be like, how much experience can I get off of a fucking commoner? This is not indicative of a normal game. No. Or maybe it is. Who knows?
Yeah, but your experience may vary. Hopefully nowadays, I think nowadays with 5th edition, but this was, some people had this experience back in 3.5 ages.
Yeah.
Where, like, you're the one girl that walks into the gaming store and everyone's like, look, it's a girl.
So the funny part about that is when that happened, like, the girl that, like, never played D&D, she's, like, walking through the gaming store and all the dudes are like, and, like, as soon as that happened, I looked back at my wife and I went, Amber, you remember those days? And she said, yep. I was like, yeah, I knew you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah. It's got plenty of little jokes to it that are probably more funny if you're a gamer, but I guess you could enjoy it as kind of the person who takes things, that realize that they're playing a game.
Sorry, Jack, I'm playing your guitar.
It's like where I'm going to cast Charm Person on Navik, where he does that and makes this silly face, and it's like, amazingly, it works.
But I mean, that whole part was, I thought it was fantastic. Like, the bard was my favorite part of the entire movie. Mm-hmm. But, like, the GM rolling with the whole, him making 50 characters.
Yeah.
And he's like, get behind the pile of my bodies. If that ever happened in a game I was playing, I'd be like, gotta go.
Yeah, do you not want me here? Is that why you keep killing me? It's like, no, unfortunately, you're 3rd level and your hit points go away real quick.
Yeah, like every time you we're 9th level, and every time you kill me and you bring me back, I'm 1 level lower. And he's like, so I'm like 7th level now. And he's like, yeah, do you mind if I just, like, roll up another character? And they were literally the same character.
Oh, yeah.
Down to the clothes.
Yeah. Well, I think they had, like, Flynn, but, like, FLI and
he was changing the names.
But it was, yeah.
And I know I've done that at least once in a game. Like, way back in the day, I had a character that I absolutely loved. And the GM dicked it. Mm-hmm. And, like, the guy's name was, like, Derek. And I was like, this is my brother, Barrick. And it was the same fucking character. Mm-hmm. I know I've done that. So I know that's the joke that they were, like, you know, messing with there.
Yeah, it's that old trope of, like, your character dies before you're done playing them. So you just make, this is my character's brother.
Yeah.
Like, heretofore unseen.
Yeah. Well, it's, have you ever seen the movie Beer Fest?
I don't think I don't remember it if I have.
So, there's just a real fast part of it is there's a character. You've seen,
Super Troopers?
You've seen Super Troopers, right?
Yeah.
So the guy that played Farva,
mm-hmm.
He's got a character in the show where his, like, in the movie where his character's kind of an asshole,
mm-hmm.
and then, like, they kill his character halfway through the movie. Spoiler. But then, like, the next scene, they're like, oh man, what are we going to do? We can't replace him. He was, like, one of our best beer drinkers. because it's all about drinking copious amounts of beer. And then like all of a sudden the dude's brother shows up, and it's the same fucking guy that looks almost exactly the same, but he's a nice version of him. And they're just like, oh, okay, it saves the day. And that just reminded me of that whole trope of, you know, you lose the character halfway through the campaign, but you're so bitter, you're like, I'm playing this new fucking character.
And I'm not done playing this character, I'm just going to roll him up again.
Yeah. That totally happens, and I am guilty of it, so I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying.
I don't think I've done that. But I've not had a super high amount of characters die. Usually campaign fizzles.
That's true. That's true.
Usually we'll play like, well, I've had the character graveyard, but that's because we played 3 games and then never went back to it again. So I'm like, that character's done. Not dead, just done.
Well, it's fun going back through old characters, but like, I was looking at my folder the other day, and like the stack of our dead characters like that tall now.
I've been playing for more than 10 years.
Yeah. And that's something, someone will have a great idea. They're like, oh, I want to do this thing where it's like fucking zombie bar, and like you're all servants of fucking Cthulhu, and it's like we'll play the game in like the first 3 sessions, like yeah, and then you play that 4th session and it doesn't quite hit, and the GM's just like, meh, I don't want to play this anymore. Let's all roll up different characters.
I got an idea for this game or whatever.
It was fun going through those folders. It was like, don't remember this guy, don't remember this guy. Oh, this guy was fun for like 3 weeks. Don't remember this guy, don't remember this guy.
Yeah,
anyways,
I've got a bunch of characters I'd like to go back, but I've got all these new ideas too. I've got like 3 ideas in my head for games that I'm not in. It's be like, well, we need more games, but we don't. It's kind of I want to play what I'm playing.
We need more time,
but I also want more stuff, so you kind of gotta make time for what you got.
Yeah. Sorry, it's late. We do these late.
We do,
and I'm old, so.
All right.
We really haven't covered much of this movie.
I'm trying to think of like what have we been talking about this movie? I mean, plot wise, it's there.
It's goofy. Like it's hard to explain the movie. Watch it if you're in the mood for like just tongue in cheek, people being at their absolute fucking worst, because it does cover like the major tropes.
You're getting like mainly negative tropes of players, and then you kind of have like the good trope of the player who comes in and kind of like fixes everybody, as it were, and kind of shows them that there's more to gaming than just killing all the NPCs, taking their boots, and Willem comes up and is like trying to tell us like, I come into this village, my name's Willem. Like, screw that guy.
Yeah, and then they do like the old like there's that one D&D game. Not trying to sidetrack again, just saying real quick, where Amber's character did not like grave robbing. And then, like, we went down to the temple, we're killing the monsters, and we're in a tomb, and there's all this cool shit around us, and as we're starting to collect it, Amber's like, no grave robbing. I was like, we're fucking adventurers. This is what we do, you know? So we had to figure out a way to get BA on the airplane and get her out of the area so we can all loot all the shit.
Just to be like, we need to torture this guy. It's like, Palin's not going to let you torture somebody. I'll just tell him there's like a ninja outside. I don't think he's going to believe there's a ninja outside. Well, usually the dice decide.
He's over there.
It's like, look, Sir Osric, an evil ninja outside. It's like, what?
Come out, you failed demon of the night.
Then he runs out and they get to torture the guy for a little bit.
And that's the best part of role-playing. The dice dictate what happens.
Yeah. So you can kind of be like, I don't think the guy's going to I'm going to tell him I'm his long-lost father. He's not going to believe that.
Nat 20.
I got a 48. It's like, Daddy? I didn't know.
That's where it can be a nightmare being a GM.
Yeah.
But
that's why it's never let people roll for something you're not prepared to let come into canon, as it were. If someone's like, could I tell him that this bath is or this acid bath is actually water? It's like it's bubbling, like there's a skull in it. He's not going to believe. Like, can I roll for it? Don't be like, yeah, sure, whatever, and then have him roll the 58. Be like, at 58, he's like, okay, he jumps in the acid. Just don't ask. Don't ask. Be like, no, he's not. There's bones floating in it. He's not going to be like, drink this acid. I mean, drink this water. Sorry, water. 48. You said acid.
See, I might be the worst version of a GM then, because it's like, okay, he gets in the acid. He's not boiling, so apparently he's acid proof. You know,
just let it happen.
Well, sometimes I like to put the thumb back in their eye. Like, you know, you're going to try and talk me into a stupid situation. I'm going to give you a stupid reply. But I'm also the GM who uses the GM screen for what it's used for, fudging rolls, so you're not killing people. Why is it there? If you're just going to play the dice straight, why is it there?
I don't usually use the GM screen. I roll my dice like this. Oh, you got hit.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's literally if you're tearing my stuff up, I'm going to just start hitting you, and then I'm going to get you.
It depends.
Well, it's like it's not if you're a 10th level character rolling through kobolds, it's fun mowing them down, but it's not rewarding. So you have to make the fight. You have to feel a little pressure.
But I mean, sometimes dice rolls will make things memorable. Like the Entropic Reaper that I merged all of you guys with was just a mini boss. He was supposed to be like a one and done real quick. I rolled real well. You guys did not roll well, and now he lives on in memory of being the most dangerous thing ever. To the point like he wasn't even the boss. You guys don't remember the boss. Boss wasn't important.
You're right. I don't remember the boss, but I remember that you killed me on. Was it the ethereal plane?
The negative energy plane.
Yeah. So like a scythe in that game did ×3 damage, and he's like, "Oh, not 20 ×3 damage, 85 points of damage,
×4 damage."
Yeah, yeah. So like he was basically slaying us.
Oh yeah.
He killed me, and then they raised me.
Well, first go around he killed Amber, and you guys were like, "We have to go," because in like a few number of rounds, her body's going to be raised as a wraith, and then you'll be unable to raise her as long as this wraith wanders the entirety of the negative energy plane. You have to go through, find it, kill it, so that you could raise her. So you just kind of grabbed her, plane shifted back, brought her back to life, came back and did the fight again. This time he killed you.
Yeah.
So you had like a raised dead like on hand. So you finished the fight, raised you back real quick, and continued the dungeon.
See, I remember it differently. I remember he killed me, and y'all had a raised dead handy, and y'all raised me, and he got me through like an inch of my life again, because I remember you natted me again. And I think I was down to like, you can count my hit points on one hand, and we were like, we have got to fucking go. And we were just like, no, push through, and we finally killed him, and then it was like, we have got to go.
Yeah. It's good. Good thing you didn't leave, because if you had left him and come back, you would have been at full hit points again.
I know, and that was even brought up. It was like, so does this thing come back? And you were like, yeah, and we were like, all right, push forward,
absolutely,
push forward.
He's on the plane that like heals undead.
Yeah, that was, oh my god, that game was so brutal. I mean, it wasn't Beholder Dungeon brutal, but it was brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal too.
So, also we do we're gonna do a podcast on D&D. So if you found any of this episode entertaining.
Yeah, we've got some stuff recorded. We just need to find a place to put it. YouTube with videos is nice, and put all your videos here. We don't care.
Yeah, it's within our budget range.
Free.
Yeah, and podcasting costs money, so donate to the Patreon.
That'll exist hopefully one day.
One day, when my wife and 3 other people are watching these videos, share the gosh darn videos. Anyways, yeah, I mean. Is there anything else we can cover?
Other than just making references to the movie.
Yeah, the broad strokes of it is if you want to watch a dude who's frustrated with shitty players and players that are frustrated with a GM that's like running a game on rails, it's funny. It's very amusing. If you've been playing D&D for a little while, it's definitely worth a watch.
It's got a lot of tropes in it that you've probably experienced in some way.
You've experienced at least 1 or 3 of them, and you've played with these guys before.
So, do you like comedy? Do you like D&D? Or just it's mainly D&D focused because it takes place in a fantasy world. But if you like just gaming in general, I think this movie will speak to you. Made by people that live it and love it.
Yes.
So you can sense the fact that these people know what they're talking about.
So what are they called? Like what are they?
I think they're going by Zombie Orpheus. At the time, they were Dead Gentlemen. I don't know if they're. I'm not super up to date with what they're doing nowadays.
So, yeah, go give these guys a watch.
Yeah. Gamers, Dorkness Rising. They've done Gamers. They've done Gamers 3, Hands of Fate, Journey Quest, Dark Dungeons.
Dark Dungeons is good. Really good.
They've done a bunch of shorts on their channel. I think that was the one I was talking about with Shadowrun. I'll have to show you at some point in time in the future. They've done good stuff. They care about games, and you can sense. And they've got a good enough sense of humor, I think.
Happy birthday, Nick.
Thank you.
Hopefully we covered what you wanted to cover.
I just wanted to sit down. I want to watch this movie. I want to sit down and talk about D&D.
Okay. Well,
and the movie exists, and the movie's good, and I like the movie.
I think we accomplished both.
And I really do watch it like once or twice a year.
I figured that out. I honestly, like, we don't normally talk about stuff before just so we go in raw. But, like, you literally just got finished saying as we were walking over to you, you're like, I watch this movie at least once a year. And I was like, well, he really likes it. So I pulled out, originally I was like, well, I don't know if it's a 10, but he watches it every year. Like, that's commitment. So it was like, maybe it's a 9. Production value's not great on it. Maybe an 8. Did I say you were going to say a 7?
You put 8. I put 9.
Okay. Yeah. I really need to listen to my gut on some of these things and stop overthinking it. Anyways.
The movies that are my favorite are dumb. Chelsea the Pussycats, The Grudge, like this one.
Well, they're not dumb.
Oh, it's just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I think that's going to be the kind of stuff that makes this channel great. We're talking about stuff that's not necessarily super talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So, show me 3 other sites that did Josie and the Pussycat.
Yeah, well, if you're...
Calm down. We know there's a lot of sites. But, you know.
Well, if you're new to gaming, it's possible you've never even heard of this. So, check it out.
Yeah.
You can find it on YouTube by them. If you don't have YouTube Premium, I mean, get ready to watch some ads, but...
Now, I'll play us out. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's a D&D. Bye.
Bye.